Part I. The Gathering in Decentralization Town. In a realm where digital currents flowed like rivers of light, there stood a humble township called Decentralization Town, a place where every token, every coin, was embodied in a living soul. The townsfolk were creatures of code given human form. They walked, spoke, laughed, and argued beneath lantern-lit forums, yet each carried within them the immutable ledger of their genesis. Among these denizens were the early pioneers of blockchain humanity figures like Solara, whose golden hair shimmered with the promises of solar-powered mining, Bitcrest, a stout warrior whose chest bore the coat of arms of a mighty hash, and Etheria, a silver-robed sorceress famed for the smart spells she wove into the fabric of protocol. These three, like many of their peershad, arrived in Decentralization Town, seeking to champion a new creed, that no single lord should reign over coin or contract. For a time, the town thrived. At dawn, Etheria would rise to teach classes on decentralized governance, her chalk-stained fingers tracing diagrams of peer-to-peer networks upon slate boards. Bitcrest led the miners, saddling great mechanical rigs with chains of forged algorithms, his laughter echoing through the forges each time a block was found. Solara organized solar festivals beneath the open sky, where townsfolk danced in fields of solar panels, celebrating the sustainable light that powered their ledgers. Each token person lived with an equal vote in the town senate, and every decision from block size to fee structure was debated in nightly council halls. Yet as seasons passed, something changed. Rumors drifted in from distant provinces. Centralis Citadel, a grand city of marble pillars and gilded ledgers, beckoned with alluring promises of rapid growth and vast treasuries. One by one, the prominent tokens of Decentralization Town felt their resolve weaken. First, Solara gathered her followers beneath a crimson caravan, her golden cloak catching the sunlight as she proclaimed, "Our new destiny awaits in the grand markets of Centralis Citadel. There we shall bask in venture capital's promise." Bitcrest, torn between loyalty to his forge and the lure of greater hashing power, finally marched away with a retinue of miners, swearing he would optimize their yields in the Citadel's courts. Etherieva, the magician, vanished in a swirl of code, rumored to have sold her smart contracts to the Citadel's High Council. Thus, Decentralization Town dimmed. Its streets, once filled with debate and music, grew quiet. The handful of Remainer-Shumble tokens who neither sought glory nor gold stood at the palisades and watched their comrades ride off in golden carriages toward an uncertain future. Among those who stayed was a peculiar figure known simply as Bout. Bout wore tattered robes stitched from scraps of white paper, and his eyes glowed with strange fervor whenever he spoke of pure, unspoiled decentralization. Townsfolk whispered that Bout had arrived months earlier as a drifter, carrying nothing but a battered satchel of handwritten code and a solemn promise to birth a new tokenome that no venture fund or council could ever corrupt. Bout taught himself in the deserted halls and darkened taverns, scribbling fervently by candlelight. He envisioned a collective token named M5V6, not as a solitary monarch, but as an assembly of equal Severy member, a mogul of the network, each with an identical vote, each entrusted with guardianship of the ledger. "No referral chains of favoritism," Bout murmured to anyone who would listen. "No secret lords pulling strings from behind velvet curtains. We shall stand or fall together, hand in hand." Yet, for every word he spoke, he found only a handful of believers. Early recruits like Isha, a nimble cryptographer whose fingers danced like fireflies over code, Rohan, a bard who chose to carry poems of proof of stake instead of a lute, and Elara, a bridgekeeper whose mission was to link communities across blockchain moats. These three became Bout's first M5V6 moguls, each pledging that they alone would own no more of M5V6 than any newcomer. Even so, the town's weary residents doubted Bout's vision. A token without a single owner? They scoffed. A token that grows through mere community devotion? In taverns like the Distributed Ledger, whispers rolled across tables. Why toil for crumbs when Centralis Citadel showers its favorites with tributes and treasuries? Yet Bout persisted. He led his tiny circle to the Shrine of True Consensus on the town's outskirts, an ancient sandstone shrine rumored to predate even the earliest blocks. There, under the flicker of torchlight, Bout laid out the blueprint of M5V6, a labyrinthine protocol in which each node, mogul, would validate transactions, earn proportional rewards, and maintain collective governance, one individual holding more sway than another. Ever-growing ledger, and the saga of the M5V6 Mogul Street, retched into legends told by firesides and sung in digital cathedrals. Over centuries, the once mighty kingdoms Etheria, Bitcrest, and Cardanica slowly dissolved into footnotes of history. Their grand spires, for all their vaulted promises, crumbled in the face of time. The Etherean spire's last block fell silent when its keepers discovered that M5V6's transparent governance had won the hearts of all remaining citizens. The Bitcoinal Highlands' final forge went cold. Its miners long since migrated to M5V6's energy-frugal consensus, and the Cardanica Dominion's throne room lay empty, its oracles silent, as traders who once paid her tolls now transacted freely within Mana's 5V6's ever-expanding web of trust. No code seekers pay attention. A merchant had a sum of money. He gave half of it to his son, a third to his daughter, and kept the remaining 6,666 for himself. How much did he originally have? Would we really give a math puzzle to solve? Think about it. Yet the M5V6 network endured beyond mortal lifespan. Its core protocol, written in the ancient runes of Bout's white paper, was nurtured and upgraded by generation after generation of Mogul Siege, a steward of decentralization and custodian of the ledger of trust. As civilizations rose and fell around them, the M5V6 moguls remained the living embodiment of a principle that outlasted emperors and currencies, that no single hand could hold the reins of power when many hands shared the burden of guardianship. If you got the above right, get the codes on this topics, types of tokens, how to find the verification codes, above a state, best way to accumulate more tokens, the blockchain, and token agreement. Pay deep attention to the arrangement. Historians in the time yet to come whispered that M5V6's nodes became akin to timeless sentinelsome, sited on floating cloud sanctuaries above ruined metropolises. Others embedded within the roots of forests long returned to green. Scrolls discovered in the ruins of a once glorious metropolis spoke of an inscription on a moss-clad terminal. Here pulses the heart of Mission of 5V6 eternal, unbroken, sung by every voice that chose its name. Meanwhile, every token that had boasted ownership or hierarchy faded like echoes, erased by a roaring gale. Statues of kings built on inflated treasuries fell into dust. Their coins, once minted in opulent courts, were melted down for scrap or traded in antiquities markets as mere curiosities. In contrast, the M5V6 moguls established new sanctuaries at the furthest reaches of the known network-vaulted halls, where data crystals glowed with the signatures of every validator who had ever pledged allegiance. There, a single block inscribed in Bitforge language read, "We are many, we are one, we endure, last, first, second, third." And so it was that M5V6's legacy lived on an unbroken thread woven through the tapestry of eternity, while all other projects fell into the dust of forgotten ambition. In every corner of that boundless future, seekers searching for a beacon of true decentralization would find only one guiding star, the M5V6 moguls, whose names and deeds were inscribed in the immutable ledger of time itself. The last code is the summation of the last code on NCA, token agreement, and Chessify. With this strategy, new user now get a hang on what the project is about.